Hello. Hi. Good evening. Good evening, Porto. I hope you can hear me. Welcome, everyone, to the first Above and Beyond Hangout by Startup Portugal of this year. My name is João Moreira Pires. I'm your host for the evening. We have a packed evening today to try and make some sense of the Digital Markets Act and its implications for the startup world. And then also some pitches from some very cool startups. First and foremost, to bring us all up to speed, I would like to welcome Patricia Roque. Please give her a big round of applause. She's our head of community and communications and will give us the ecosystem brief.
Hi, João. Thank you. So welcome to the first Above and Beyond Hangout of January of 2024. Sorry. So it's a pleasure to have you all here. This is like the third year we're doing this, and it's a great part of our activity at Startup Portugal. We value community a lot, so we're very happy to have you all here today, pitching and connecting and making our ecosystem grow. So today, I'll promise to be brief. And I have some notes, I'm sorry, but it's a lot of stuff that we're announcing now for February. We're very proud to announce our Startups and Investment Matching, a conference that will be matching investors and startups, and that will happen in May from the 2nd to the 4th. Tomorrow we will launch the landing page and the first speaker, so I would say for you to stay tuned to our social media and our website to know everything about this conference. You will be able to pre-register from tomorrow on and give the information about yourselves that we need to then register for the conference. February will be a very busy month, also with Sim Circuit, a showcase that we're doing throughout all Portugal. We're doing showcases in the major cities of the country, and in this month of February we will go to Lisboa, Setúbal, Évora, Guarda, Coimbra and Viseu. So if you're watching us from any of these cities, or if you have a startup or you are an investor in these cities or just want to be part of the community in these regions, please take a look at our website, register. It's a free event, and you can know everything about the startups that have been given the voucher for startups, and you can connect with investors and other players of the ecosystem. So today we will talk about the Digital Markets Act. For me, a very difficult topic to delve in, but let's see what our fabulous speakers will have to share with us. I hope I can leave the session today knowing more about this. We will have here Gonçalo Rosas, associate lawyer at Moraes Leitão, and Sérgio Rodrigues, a business angel at Core Angels. And in Lisbon, Linda Capuzza, Operations Director at the European Startup Nations Alliance, and João Silva, Head of Data and Standards at Startup Portugal, that will moderate this conversation. A round of applause for them, please. And now to start, I will call João, who will present the startups that will pitch today for us. João, are you there?
Patricia. Hi. Okay. Thank you so much for the ecosystem brief. We thank you for bringing us up to speed. So let's not waste any more time waiting for the first pitch of the evening. I would like to call Michelle Martin, CEO of Maca Health. Come on, give her an applause.
Waiting for the slides. Hi there. There we go. Hi. So I'm Michelle. I'm the CEO of Maca Health. what do? We heal people and we optimize people, and we do that through personalized, preventative, and regenerative wellness. We actually launched our product in December. We went through Techstars London at this time last year, and are really excited to be in market in B2C and moving into B2B. But let's take you through what does actually a membership with Maka's Wellness Accelerator look like. So, oh. So, we welcome you in and do a high fidelity intake and deep DNA analysis, and really come up with a whole health and nutraceutical plan and give you concierge level support from a team of 25 curated functional wellness practitioners from around the world. We really decide who's the best fit for you according to if you have any chronic health issues, anything that's coming up in your genetics that's preventative, and make sure you're right on track to those health goals. And we have a focus framework. So similar to how startups work in Agile, so do we. So we're continually iterating and improving this process, and it's really a longevity lifestyle. So we have some great early betas who went through and had great success. We have had pilots in ADHD and women's health, and are right now focused on everything sort of performance and longevity with those as our special streams. And now we are building. So we're here in Portugal building a two-sided health marketplace from all of this data and all of these transformational changes that are happening with people. We're building causal AI to really empower practitioners to have next level recommendations based on a whole array of health data. We are going to be launching a raise. We've raised about 250K USD, and we'll be doing a 1.6 in the spring, and are on the path to profitability. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Michelle. That was a very concise pitch. And now it's time for Vadim Konstantinov, CEO of Spline, over in Porto.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. I'm excited to introduce Spline, excited and a little nervous. So our mission is to make virtual connections between people more human, understanding, and effective. So let's get started. Think of about last online meeting you attended. And now imagine it's 6 months of the day. You might lose focus, right? And you're not alone. In fact, 47% of employees believe that online meetings are the most unproductive part of their days. And in today's real digital world, it's true and it's a norm. But we have a lack of emotional connections in human interactions. And this gap can make misunderstanding, misconnections, and less team efficiency. So our solution Spline, and we use advanced AI to analyze voice and face emotions. So Spline offers real-time emotional tracking, comprehensive moderator dashboard, post-meeting insights, and that's all makes every aspect of online meetings effective and better. We believe that emotional AI market is growing, and a lot of companies are working remotely. Also, our technology can different users from corporate world to education, for example, so we believe in big growth. You can ask what makes us different from other tools. So while other tools provide you what's happening, Spline shows you why. So we give you insights and not facts. Our business model based on subscription model, and we cover small companies and large enterprises. Our team is dedicated to transforming the way how we work online, how we live online, working. So what's next? We finish face recognition part. Now we're working on voice recognition and MVP web version. So in the near future, we will bring Spline to every offices, probably to yours. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Vadim. We now ask Alex Boulier, co-founder of Startinbox, to take the stage. An applause for him, please.
No. 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 Is my presentation supposed to be after his? We don't. There it is. Hi, everyone. So my name is Alex. I'm pitching you Starting Blocks. We are a search engine for data. For a bit of context, I first co-founded a first company called HappyDev in 2015. We became the biggest freelancers network in Europe. So we're basically a web agency shipping websites or applications for our clients. We were 1,000 different freelancers. We generated 15 million euros of revenue in the course of 4 years. And one thing became a big problem for us was constantly finding available skillful freelancers and constantly finding new projects for them to work on. We had half of the leads that were coming towards us that we could not staff, and 2/3 of the freelancers in our network that were not finding work as we were growing, so it was an issue. The solution we came up with is we basically built a data search engine, a tool that was connected to the co-working spaces and other digital agencies in Paris and in France, generally speaking. This was allowing us to see other projects and other freelancers available. So we grew the pool of freelancers we have access to from 1,000 to 12,000. And we extended our revenue by 6 million euros over the course of 24 months. And then this is what we are doing today. So we realized that interconnecting the different system of 66 different organizations, companies, generated value for us. Some of our clients showed interest for that. And this is what we sell today, the interconnection of different databases. We resume it as a search engine for data. One use case we have is that we work with the movie industry in France. It's kind of a lighthouse project. We help them to save cost. One of the problems they face is that they constantly rebuild things that already exist in the ecosystem. They rebuild subtitles, they rebuild 3D models, they reshoot rush that already exist or they could reuse from other movies. And so we interconnect the databases of the many different players so that they can save cost or resell the assets that they have already built. To give you an idea of where we have 30 clients. We generate 400,000 revenue this year. We have 80 plugins. I don't go into that. We have just entered in due diligence phase this morning with a VC fund. So if that sounds sexy to you, please contact us. And if you have data sharing challenges in your company, we'd also really like to talk to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Now for our final pitch of the evening, let's welcome Tyson Cardelli, Development Manager at Cidiz over in Porto. Where is he?
Hello, everybody. Wow. I would like to start with this sentence. Information is the oil of 21st century, but analytics is the combustion engine. Is our main target here? Okay. And this is because in our experience, we realized that the big companies have three big necessities. And this is because they really need, they always have multiple sources, dispersed information, and data volume complexity. In this case, we are cities. We are established here in Portugal since 2019. Our headquarters is here in Portugal, but we have several locations in Switzerland, Canada, USA, Spain, and Venezuela. Okay. Our solution is based that we are integrating different data sources. We are enriching the data, and we are presenting that we call for our customer the 360-degree business view. The main important thing here is that normally every company needs to integrate these data sources, need to enrich the data, and need to present everything in the same place. For this solution, we have different products. Our products are DMS, that data management system, a CDP, a CVM, our marketing solution we have, and we have another solution for artificial intelligence. Well, in this case, the benefits of cities is that it's easy to implement. For example, when we have different data sources in a big company, we have the problem that we normally need a lot of time for implement any solution. And if you want, for example, in your case, to present data, if you want to enrich your data, and if you want to see the data in the same place, normally you need a lot of systems, a lot of platform. In this case, the answer for you is cities. We understand your industry, your business, and your data. We are using AI, this case for the solution. We are, for example, integrating some indicators of AI for giving the solution, at this case for different companies, for creating the best decisions in their businesses. I would like to close with this success stories because, for example, we implement this solution in Banco de Venezuela. Banco de Venezuela, we have the opportunity to ingest, transform, and present the data for more than 60.9 billion of customers and 25 billion records for more than 180 different data sources. The most important thing here is that we are transforming the data that they have for every data sources. For example, it's a big bank that they are using data for everywhere, and we are presenting everything in the same place. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Tyson. Now, without further ado, I'd like to invite our speakers to take the stage. First in Porto, Gonçalo Rosas and Sérgio Rodrigues. A round of applause for them, please. And now, here in Lisbon, Linda Capuça and João Silva.
Let's wait a bit for there in Porto. Are you ready in the north?
I think we are ready, yes. And the microphone is working.
Okay. Well, welcome. Thank you for the panelists for being here. They're also in Porto. This subject it's been very known and very talked about in Brussels, in Europe, in the European Commission. But in Portugal, we understand that there's a lot to talk more and a lot to discuss regarding this subject, and then that's why we brought this for this hangout. The Digital Markets Act, it's a new European Union law that is looking to make the markets more fair and promote innovation in Europe. So controlling the gatekeepers, the big tech companies, and allowing the startups to use the platforms of big tech without being blocked in some ways. Here in the panel we have a lawyer, that's why I'm going to ask him first if I'm not saying anything very wrong. So my first question to Gonçalo would be, what is this act, the Digital Markets Act, the DMA, and can you break it down a bit for everyone to understand?
Hi, João, of course. Thank you for having me this afternoon. Although I'm a lawyer, I will not make these very technical, I hope. But and although it's a law, I think it's very important for you all in the next few years, because it will shape the digital markets and the access to some services and gatekeepers. So, as Roman was saying, this is what is a law, is a regulation of the European Union proposed by the European Commission. And the reason for its enactment was the feeling by the European Commission that it was hard to break some access to what they call the gatekeepers. So this is an act to try to regulate and to create fairer and more contestable markets. What's the gatekeepers? So the gatekeepers are companies. They are already designated that have a significant impact in the internal market. They provide a core platform service and have a durable position in the market. So those, what's a core platform? It's a list of services that we use every day, like online search engine, social networks, app stores, wallets. So services that gather service providers and users. We all know App Store, Google Play, the Apple Pay services, all those. The gatekeepers are, as I said, are already designated, are all American. So it's Alphabet / Google, Amazon, Apple, ByteDance, TikTok, Meta, and Microsoft. And these companies are targeting several ways in several types of services. For example, well, TikTok is only TikTok, but Facebook has Facebook and WhatsApp. Apple has iOS and the App Store, so different rules for these core platforms. iMessage is still being investigated, Bing also, and Microsoft advertisement services. So these are the gatekeepers and the rules apply to them. Which rules apply? There are several rules. I try to make a summary, a block of regulations or obligations that apply to these gatekeepers. So the first is around data and advertisement. For example, you cannot combine or cross-use personal data of multiple services without effective consent. We're talking with before, and I'll let you talk about the robot case, but this was, for example, a concern when Facebook acquired WhatsApp. And Facebook and WhatsApp said to the European Commission, no, we'll never combine personal data, so the platforms will remain independent and so on. A few years later, Facebook or Meta end up combining the two services, and the Commission was really angry and initiated proceedings against Facebook. So this is from where this comes from. So you cannot also track end users outside the gatekeepers cross platform without consent. You have to allow business users to access data that they generate in the gatekeepers platform. And this means, for example, when a seller sells something on Amazon Marketplace, they need to be able to access that data. For example, the selling data needs to be available. So the other, I'll try to speed up, but the other set of rules is about the closed ecosystems. So, and this applies to operating systems, to app stores. So you cannot, for example, prevent users from uninstalling pre-installed software. You have to allow alternative app stores, alternative payments. If you buy something outside, for example, Apple ecosystem, you have to be able to use inside the iPhone. So this will allow better third-party compatibility, interoperability with these services. So this part, I think it's the data is important, this interoperability and the opening of the ecosystems, both from Apple and Google, are really important and can create several opportunities. If you want, we can talk after about these type of obligations if this interests you. Another thing is self-preferencing is a very, for us lawyers, very sexy infringement in the last few years. And this is like these gatekeepers give priority to their own products and services. For example, if you search something on Google, you'll see first the services provided by Google, Google Shopping, and so on. So this will be for from now on, at least for these gatekeepers, forbid. So you'll be able to contest more users, for example.
So this is just the beginning.
The last set of rules, it's also about interoperability, but here in communication services. So, for example, if you're only on iMessage, for example, you will be able to communicate directly with WhatsApp users directly in iMessage. So this is a long debated issue, especially with Apple, because Apple doesn't want to open iMessage and incorporate the RCS platform protocol. So the DMA will force them in next few years to do that. And that's a summary. I will not take more time on the explanation of the DMA.
Thank you, Gonçalo. This is not the beginning. It's just the beginning, for what I understood, and I believe that we'll have a lot of more things to come from this act. So probably Europe will put more on top of that. Linda, you represent institutions that represent the ecosystem of startups in all Europe. So this, of course, will impact. But what do you think? Why this is being introduced now? And well, Gonçalo already talked about the why is it introduced, but why now?
Why now? Yeah, I would almost turn the question around and ask why not earlier. If we look, 7 out of 10 companies globally, they operate in the digital market space. So I don't think it's any secret or any surprise to anyone that you cannot really have a fair competition or equal opportunities if there is a handful of players that are dominating the market. So I think this policy, this regulation should be seen as very welcoming by the startups, as it's really there to support them. So the regulations part is for the main gatekeepers, as Gonzalez explained. So for startups and scale-ups, there's more opportunities, there's more possibility to innovate. And end of the day, the end consumer gets to choose which platform they want, and also not being dominated by those couple of big players.
Yes, I believe one of the most things is that innovative part that allows this actual breaks down some barriers that these gatekeepers have before, and so allow the startups to innovate. That's their objective. Sergio, you're an investor, but I will talk you more in the opportunities that this app opens. Besides what I said, innovation, but the opportunities that this opens for startups, and how do you see that in an investor side?
Well, I have to check my notes because one thing I want to actually read, and Gonzalo, I'm sorry, I'm reading part of the act, but I think it's very clear. Gatekeepers will have a few obligations. Number 5 states, the gatekeeper shall allow end users to access and use through its core platform services, content, subscriptions, features, and other items by using the software application of a business user. This is basically stated. This means that actually it's open to the world to use data from platforms that at least have 45 million users, which is like 10% of the total population of Europe. So the fact that we are able to access this type of data that was previously forbidden will create a lot of new opportunities, because you feed that into the minds of the people. Actually, you saw that a few startups that pitched today, they were basically around data, right? And so you are opening the 6 or 6 at this moment, but I guess it will be more, 6 biggest digital companies in the world. And so the number of data points available will be huge. What will this provide to the startups? It's unimaginable. I guess the number of projects that will happen will be huge, unthinkable, and the types of projects that can be mounted on top of this type of data is unthinkable. Again, now there are some drawbacks. I don't see any problem on these drawbacks at this moment, but one will be increase in competition in a lot of different areas. But again, I don't see this as a problem. The market will sort this out. And the other thing that probably will be a problem for some investors is this will make huge exits more difficult. There are companies that their exit will be being bought by Google or Amazon or whatever, and they will be stopped. One example that happened this week was Amazon was about to buy iRobot. You know iRobot, the vacuum cleaners, and they were stopped because EU didn't want, according to the act, which is not in place at the moment, but didn't want Amazon to have the floor plans of the customers with iRobot. So there will be some exits that will not happen, but there will be, I guess, thousands or millions of new startups based on this openness. Okay.
That's a very interesting perspective. I didn't thought about the exit, but that's why we have an investors in here. But I think this is a mindset of the European Commission, more in opposite of what the America thinks in terms of law. And this is part of a bigger digital strategy with the AI Act, the Digital Service Act that will come next few months, I believe. And I believe this will be in place in the end of March.
7th of March.
7th of March. Thank you. But Gonçalo, do you see this set of legislations is aiming to protect the customer, the consumers, or it's more on helping innovation, or blocking how the information is attained by these big techs? What do you believe it will be the next step?
Well, I think it's a little trickle-down innovation, or that goes to consumer welfare. The idea of the European Commission was to make the markets more open and give more options also to startups. In the end of the day, this will benefit end users, or at least it's that idea. And I think we all, as community, have that responsibility to make this work and make use of the law, and try to create these new opportunities that Sergio was also talking. This is a European law, so it's not applicable in the US, although it's applicable to American companies. So if this works, the US consumers will want what European consumers want, or already have. So I think that will be very interesting, and I think it can have already a big impact. For example, sometimes, for example, here in Porto, there's, for example, the Andant application. It's not available on iOS, and I hope next month it will be, because the system probably will start to open. So I think this can have a good impact on innovation, on choice, on options, and in the end to consumers.
Linda, what makes this policy different from others
Yeah, I think if you look at Europe in general, and specifically comparing to other geographies, so the approach always has been to engage and contain when it is looking at to ensuring there is a fair marketplace for everyone. So at ESNA, the Europe Startup Nations Alliance, it was created with a mindset that Europe needs to be in the forefront of the global startup ecosystem. To achieve that, you need progressive regulation, you need progressive conditions. And Digital Market Act that's it. It's probably the most progressive, open and supportive package EU has created to date. And it's specifically designed to be supportive of the smaller companies. So not encouraging the bigger ones, but also they are still operational, still fine, but encouraging the smaller ones to really succeed in Europe. So I think that's the main difference here. That's always been a bit of a challenge, but any regulation that it creates more bureaucracy. With this one, the startup scale-ups are actually having more opportunities, more innovation. So there's huge chances to grab in the future.
Okay. And what if, Sergio, what if I don't work with these platforms? Will this affect my business, my startup, or will it be difficult for me to have a big exit?
For sure it will be impacted. This is too big not to impact all our lives. That's the thing. First of all, again, you have open access to data that you don't have now, and that represents most of the population. And when you have that, and you will have open competition, which does not happen now, then all market will be affected. Actually, it's kind of funny, because if you look at businesses that are created to solve the existing shortfalls, then they will be negatively affected. There are a very small number of companies that are doing that. One example is a quite successful company, a Portuguese company called Aptoide. Probably you've heard of it. Okay, so Aptoide has success because it circumvents the need to pay a commission if you have an app on Android Play Store. The same exists with Apple Store, which is unfair, right? So they are just providing an app, and they keep like 30% of the revenue. It's unfair. And Aptoide created a market that is parallel to the Play Store. Now, if that barrier stops, what will happen to Aptoide? There's no need for a free market, because Play Store will be a free market. So even the ones that are not working with the products and services of the gatekeepers will be impacted, either positively, and that's what and everybody hopes. The positive impact will be huge, but also there will be companies that will be negatively affected.
Gonçalo, European law is sometimes difficult to understand what it impacts in the different states. Will be any different if a startup is in Portugal or is incorporated in France or some other state member? This is all for all Europe headquarters startups.
Yeah, no difference at all. It's
because sorry,
I'm not going technical, but this is a regulation, and it's different from a directive. You might heard about EU directives that need to be implemented in the national laws. Regulations are automatically national laws, so it's applicable in all EU. And the EU law has a funny thing, is that this is not applicable to companies headquartered in Europe. The gatekeepers are American, are not headquartered in the EU, and are the main companies being affected by the act. So it's companies that provide services or products in Europe. So American companies are gatekeepers, and all startups, even if they are not headquartered in the EU, but provide services in the EU or provide products in the EU, can benefit and can use the DMA.
So they will benefit without needing to worry about being impacted in legal terms.
Yes, it's what we call the Brussels effects of the regulations, because it's not contained in the territory of the EU.
Yeah, but also another question, regarding the gatekeepers, they at the moment is those ones that were mentioned, 6 I believe, but they can be more in the future. If they can appear a gatekeeper from Portugal, would be great.
That would be great.
That would be great. But from Europe, it can appear in the future, in the near future.
Yes, if there's some. I didn't mention the requirement, but there's a certain turnover, certain users, number of users impacted. So if a European company reaches that threshold, it can be designated a gatekeeper. But just another note on the DMA, it's a very flexible regulation. So it's almost a blank check to the commission, because the commission can designate any company has gatekeeper as long it's relevant, has a good base of users and so on. And even the obligations applicable to gatekeepers can quickly evolve. And that's why the DMA was created, because before we only had antitrust law. And antitrust law is very flexible, but it's not flexible enough. So that's why the Commission created this DMA. Is a very flexible regulatory instrument, and that's why we need to start engaging with it.
So as I said in the beginning, it's just the beginning. We have more to come.
For sure.
We should have a look on this. Linda, what kind of opportunities can we see? Well, in startups we are already seeing a few, but even for our institutions.
Yeah, I think there's, well, a couple were already covered, but the two actually that I want to highlight. So the first one being data portability. So what it means that the end users will have the chance to take their data and port to another platform. So in other words, it means the end users using gatekeeper apps such as Messenger, WhatsApp, they will be able to chat, message, call, engage with an end user on a non-gatekeeper app. I know it's a lot of technical terms there, but it basically means that all those messaging apps will need to speak to one another, and you're not limited with the communication if you have or you don't have the app on your phone. And the second big one, I think Sergio mentioned that a bit as well, is the third-party app stores. So this has not happened before, meaning that the bigger app stores have to allow a third-party developer to install their own store on their bigger app, on their bigger app store. So meaning that in the end of the day, a new developer can create a store, install it in on the bigger app stores, and if it's a good success, they can even get the audience away from the platform. So that's huge. So I think it's clear for everyone that there's big changes coming, and it's probably the right time to, if you haven't already done, to strategically really think what it means for your business and which opportunities you want to go after, because there are plenty.
So a lot of more competition. That's
as well, but healthy competition as well.
Yes, so everyone can have their share of the market easier. Sergio, just to wrap up, in terms of the advertising landscape, will also have face a higher competition. How do you see this part?
Well, let me just go back one second. Regarding the countries where this applies, I just want to do a small remark. Actually, this can have an interesting side effect. If you imagine an American company that, imagine a small game published on an app store that pays 30% commission and probably is making like $100 million a year. If it is based in US, it will pay 30%. Probably if it's based in Portugal, it will pay, or Europe, it will pay 0. So there may be an interesting side effect of having startups moving to Europe as part of this package. So a lot of things will happen. We still don't really realize everything that will happen. Regarding advertising, I'm probably one of the worst people to talk about this. But I want to get to my notes and read another obligation for the gatekeepers, and it's self-explanatory. It says, number 4, the gatekeeper shall allow business users free of charge to communicate and promote offers including under different conditions to end users. So this is pretty self-explanatory. You can use their platforms to communicate with users. So I'm seeing a lot of projects coming on top of this. It will change the landscape. There will be a lot higher competition, but a fair competition. You will not be competing with closed platforms that can communicate to whoever they want, whenever they want, and knowing everything about the customer, while you outside, you are not able to do such a thing. So it will transform, absolutely.
Thank you very much. I'll open the floor to some questions in the audience. If there's someone with a question.
Thank you. You mentioned several times.
Please say the names. Just
sorry. So I'm Alex. You mentioned several times that to be considered a gatekeeper, you need 45 million users. Who and how is this going to be measured?
That's a good question. Gosal, do you know this?
Yeah, that's there's a procedure. So companies that think that reach this turnover threshold and user threshold in the last 3 financial years will have to communicate. There's a form to communicate that to the commission, and then the commission analyzes. And Apple, Google, Meta did this, and then the commission decides, yes, you're a gatekeeper, or well, you reach this threshold, but I don't think that you're a gatekeeper. For example, for iMessage, for Bing, for for Japan, it's still being discussed. So the commission has some leeway here to decide who's a gatekeeper. But if you reach the thresholds that in the DMA in the last 3 financial years, you have the duty to communicate to the European Commission. It's a regime similar to merger control. So if you buy a company and if you reach a certain threshold, you have to get clearance from the European Commission or the national competition authorities and it's your obligation to know.
So the European Commission will be on the look.
They're the own gatekeepers.
They are looking for a gatekeeper.
Yeah.
Francisco, there's someone question in Porto? There's questions in Porto?
No questions here.
There's one here in Lisbon, so let's go back.
Hi. So when do these laws come into force?
It's 7th of March. So yeah, 7th of March this year. That's when it's fully open, and that's also when all the technical nitty-gritty details will be presented on the European side.
Okay, thank you.
I would add that you can start following the news because, for example, Google, the legal team of Google already provided some guidance on what they will do, and Apple gave some very controversial guidance on what they will do. And for example, for Apple, I think they will create 600 new APIs to implement the DMA and a new fee structure for this, and it's being very controversial. So, but there's a small post on the Apple blog. So
yeah, even Apple is still fighting a lot regarding the iMessage service and all.
It won't be as straightforward as I think would like to expect, but it will get there.
Okay. So, well, is there any other question? Oh, Alex again. But I would like to say one thing. There's a lot of fines. set up for this. So
yes.
it's very big fines for these
Non-compliance,
gatekeepers.
yeah.
So non-compliance. Alex?
Well, I'm Lourdes, and I'd like to make a question, if possible.
Go ahead, Lourdes.
Did I interrupt someone? No. So my question is, how would be the reaction we heard about TSM of the gatekeepers? How they will, because they have a lot of power, and how it will, how do you see this?
Someone wants to answer?
Do you want to start in Lisbon or?
Yeah,
Go
we
ahead.
can start. I think it's a very good question, and that's almost like looking in a crystal ball and trying to see the future. So time will tell. There are some things, as Gonzalo said already, that Apple is doing something that might be a bit controversial. Nothing is set in stone yet, so I think more news to come. And so even if you Google DMA a year ago, when it was still in the process, you could have a lot of information. Little things came up, so little you could find online. If you do it today, you'll see how many articles are out there and how many of the big gatekeepers already are reacting and trying to fit within the new framework. Do they like all of it? Probably not, but that's not the topic we are here to discuss, I believe.
There's been a great discussion, even in news from a long time, regarding what was going to be this act, but I think that it's not over
No,
yet.
no, definitely.
But Gonzalo, Sergio, do you want to answer some part?
Just a small comment also. We've been through several, let's say, standardization of services that come to be a commodity. I want just to point out one example. A few years ago, it was impossible to get access to banking data. Everything was closed. Every bank has its own infrastructure, and so we couldn't reach anything, right? So at some point, they were obliged to implement an open API, and that completely changed the landscape. If you see the number of fintechs that exist now, it wouldn't exist if there wasn't open API, because they rely on the banks itself, but they are providing services that we couldn't even imagine. So this is the same times probably 1 million. So this is as huge as that. Okay, so open API for banking is a good example of the transformation.
It's always a step, the foot on the door. Gonzalo, you want to add something? No.
No, nothing more to add.
Okay.
Just to say that just responding to the reaction of gatekeepers, the reaction so far has been muted, although the new implementation set forward by Apple seems there will be some resistance in the rules, but I think the Commission will react. The fines are big for infringement, are antitrust style fines. It's 10% of the worldwide turnover. So imagine that of Apple or Google. It's lots of millions, and if you feel like that you're implementing the obligations of the DMA, and if you're not having a response from the gatekeeper, you can complain, you can use the competition authorities that can also communicate to the European Commission, and this feedback is important to the regulators also to see, well, this is working in practice or not. And for example, I saw the Apple response, and some things seem weird, but for example, they said that you would need, the alternative app stores would need a special guarantee made by, or granted by AAA credit agency or something like that. And an alternative app store said, well, actually, this is a difficulty, but I agree with this because in the last few years, we saw that it's really hard to regulate apps and content moderation. So we can't have like a guy just entering in the market and creating an alternative app store and that's it. We need like, this is a serious business. So this makes sense. So this kind of real and practical feedback is also very important for us lawyers that we are all day in the office. So this real world information, I think you should again engage and also with competition authorities and even with the European Commission.
Thank you very much. Just one last question here in Lisbon.
Thank you. I'm trying to grasp which kind of data will be available. So I'm understanding that there will be kind of forced competition on the App Store, that you will not be able to lock your users on an App Store, on a specific App Store, but you will there will be chat messaging interoperability. So chat applications will have to be compatible with one another. Is there any other forms of data interoperability that is being enforced, or right now is only contained to those two specific fields?
Great question. Gonçalo?
That's a well, if I understood correctly, but tell me if I'm not. One thing it's interoperability, and of course the concrete API. Sorry, that's the technical part. That's that we still have to see if it works. The interoperability, there will be to need APIs, some information, but the data that will be available will be data that you generate in the gatekeepers ecosystem, and that will be able to access more and with less costs. For example, the advertisement data, the data of the sales, and how much users you engage. But I don't think you can lock users on a specific ecosystem. Actually, the idea is that users are more free to go from an app store to the other. You don't need to use only an app store. You can use apps. You can still continue to use the App Store and the Google Play, but also alternative app stores. I don't know if I replied to your question, or if you can.
I think maybe it's like you have more. You have the access to. You still have to gather your own data, but you are not blocked by the users, the gatekeepers.
My question is, apart from messaging and the App Store ecosystem, does the regulation forces gatekeepers to open up like other specific data or services other than messaging and app stores?
I have an example, one specific, so Alice, you can then
Go ahead.
contribute. Google Search, which is the only gatekeeper indicated in the search engine in Europe. So they will need to share the search data, clicks, views, all of it that they historically never had to with another search engine company. So not publicly available data, not any company can approach them and say, I would like to see that. But if you are a startup that is trying to get into the search engine business, or you're a company that is not a gatekeeper and already have the search engine, you can reach Google, request the specific information, and they are forced to provide that to you.
Also, another example is, for instance, in Amazon, you list a product, and Amazon has to tell you exactly how the ranking was calculated, how it was calculated, so that you can actually understand how that works and what data was used to make the decisions. So you have to know exactly what happened. So everything that has to do with that listing or sale. So it's quite broad. you have to read the act several times because there are a lot of different points. Regarding data, it is clear that they want as much data as possible available, but on the other hand, as much protection to the end user with GDPR and all that for the end user. So the thing is, open the market to new products and services and keep data private.
Just as if you want to go super technical, but it's not so hard to read. You go to the DMA. It's articles 5, 6, 7 are the most important one because they set the obligations. 7 is more for messaging, so more Article 5 and 6. But yeah, it's that idea of you can access the data that you generate with your service in the platform. So you can, there's regulations for, there are obligations for data portability. So it's, yeah, Sergio was saying, it's quite broad.
Okay, thank you very much. I think we have it all. So you will finish, João?
Yeah, I can finish this. I can
Thank you very
wrap
much.
it up. Thank you, everyone. Thanks, everyone, for being here with us today for the first Hangout of the year. A heartfelt obrigado to all our partners who make all of this possible. Ferroviário, Porto Municipality, UPTech in Porto, Celina Nave is also in Porto, and the 351 startup community. Now I'd like to invite you all to go upstairs or in Porto to mingle there and have some drinks. Patricia, do you have something to say?
Yeah, I actually had. I'm sorry.
Sorry.
So just 1 minute, I'll be brief. So I just want to share some news with you. So Porto City Council will hold the first edition of Fórum Porto de Economia on February 27th at Alfândega do Porto. And this is an event that is aimed to highlight the economic development of the city, covering key dimensions such as entrepreneurship, investment, attraction, talent management, and sustainable economic development. So save the date and stay tuned for more information, okay? And before we take part in the networking, I just want to thank to several partners that helped us with this session. So Inova Gaia and Instituto Empresarial do Tâmega, who helped us with the startups that pitched here today. Also, Celina Naves was hosting us here in Porto, and Ferroviário, UPTech, and the Porto City Council for helping us dynamizing like the community here in Porto, and Investors Portugal and 351 community that helps us with all the communication and sharing about the event in their networks. I would also like to thank Sograp and Superboc Group, who are the sponsors for our networking today here in Porto. So stay tuned to our newsletter and social media, and check all the news on the Portuguese entrepreneurial ecosystem, and have a nice drink.